Hey, I'm Barry Mitchell at the Hudson River. Welcome to the pier for the premiere of Simply Science, the show that takes a look at the science of the everyday, from artificial trans fats to bugs, yuck, to a colossal fossil. But first, water. We drink it, we bathe in it, and here in New York City, we're surrounded by it. But what's in it? Don't ask. Here's Susan Jhun.
New York City boasts one of the best water systems in the world. Coming down from the Catskill Mountains and Westchester County reservoirs through hundreds of miles of aqueducts, the water is so clean that the majority of it doesn't need to be filtered.
It wins awards year in and year out because of efforts made to protect the land around the reservoirs, to keep development and pollution out of those reservoirs.
And that award-winning water, many say, is the secret to the city's famous pizza and unrivaled bagels. Billions of city dollars have built an infrastructure that maintains superior water, which continues to meet or surpass every national and state standard for quality, according to the most recent city water report. But in the modern world, even the cleanest water is threatened by pollution. And that's where the water watchdogs come in. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the founder and president of the Waterkeepers Alliance, which serves as an umbrella organization across the globe for over 300 waterkeeper groups. Kennedy says as the current administration gets set to take away federal protections for our waterways, individuals need to fight back to help protect our most important resource.
The most important thing to do is to get involved in politics. It's more important to change your politician than your light bulb. The second biggest thing you can do is join a local waterkeeper here in New York.
Such as Riverkeeper in Ossining, just north of the city, where activists work using political as well as practical measures to supplement the city's efforts to ensure our waters stay clean.
So we really do it all, from the science to the accountability and the patrol and the watchdogging to legislation as well as the legal side.
Riverkeeper's efforts include a water quality monitoring program in which thousands of water samples are taken annually, as well as its yearly Riverkeeper sweep, where volunteers have to date cleaned up 227 tons of trash from the shoreline of the Hudson. Riverkeeper even deploys an actual patrol boat that does 4,000 nautical miles a year looking for polluters and stormwater violations. And perhaps most importantly, the nonprofit educates the public on its impact on our waters.
For the Hudson River, one of the biggest impacts on water quality is actually sewage from combined sewer overflows. So about 60% of New York City has a combined sewer system, which means that the stormwater runoff from our streets combines into the same pipes as the wastewater from our homes and schools and offices.
And when it's raining and waste treatment plants are at capacity, the mixed wastewater overflows into our natural bodies of water. According to the Riverkeeper, more than 27 billion gallons of raw sewage and polluted stormwater discharge into the New York Harbor each year. If you look at this map of the Harlem River, every dot you see is where wastewater is draining into the river.
By doing your laundry or running your dishwasher during a rain event, you're contributing even more water to our stormwater system that is already being overburdened.
So you can play your part by waiting. Instead of conserving water when there's a drought, turn off the tap when it's wet out. And to get involved on any level in the fight to keep our water clean, log on to riverkeeper.org. For Simply Science, I'm Susan Jhun.
You know, when I was a kid, I told my teacher I wanted to be an astronaut and be the first man to land on the sun. She said, well, Barry, the sun is very hot. I said, I know, I'll go at night. Here's another story about the sun, solar power, from Rayner Ramirez.
So the first solar cell was actually invented in the 1880s. Since then, it's gotten better and better. Nowadays, we can actually use it for practical power. But when you think about solar power, it's hard to know exactly what's going on. So the sun hits these black panels on a roof, and then what happens? Well, to understand solar power, it helps to first dust off the high school science books and understand the basics of electricity. Okay, think of a river current, a flow of water, right? An electric current, instead of a flow of water, is a flow of electrons. But electrons don't just flow on their own. They're stuck in an atom, orbiting around a nucleus, remember? But if enough force is applied, if you excite them enough, you can break away an electron and shove it over to the atom next to it. Do this with enough atoms, passing, flowing them down the line, and now we have a current of electrons in motion. In a very broad sense, that's electricity, pushing a current of excited electrons. That's what's going on in an electrical wire. The electrons are being passed, for instance, down the line of your copper wire. Now, some materials are better at this than others. Some materials like copper, aluminum, silver, gold are very good conductors of electricity, meaning that with them, it's easier to break away their electrons and pass them down to create an electric current. And that's why we make wires out of them. Okay, so where does solar power fit into this? Well, we talked about exciting electrons. Solar panels, like this one on Solar One's roof, use the sun's energy to excite electrons. The iconic black panels of solar installations, these are made of silicon. Silicon is not only one of the most abundant materials on the planet, but when adapted in the right way, silicon is also an excellent conductor. That's how Silicon Valley gets its name after all. And when these silicon atoms are hit by the sun, their electrons are excited by the light, excited to the point of breaking away. But attached to the solar panels are wires. Wires made of the same great conducting metals like we talked about before. So when the silicon electrons break away, they are harnessed right into these wires. Wires just sitting there, waiting for an electric current to start flowing through them. And now we can use that electric current like we would any other power source, to power our lights, a fridge, whatever. And as they get more efficient every year, you can expect to see more of them popping up around the city. For Simply Science, I'm Rayner Ramirez.
Next, Mike Gilliam takes us up the river to show us some innovative technology that's bringing wind and solar power to the people.
Take a look at this. It's called an EnergiPlant, and it's another example of science creating clean energy. A California company called Primo Wind created it, and it's now operational on the shore of the Hudson River at Waterfront Park in Stony Point, New York.
I'm so excited to have it here on the East Coast. You know, we're a California company, San Diego, and so to start making some inroads on the East Coast, it's really great for us.
The EnergiPlant gathers its power from the sun and the wind.
We started Primo with the idea that we could provide power from low wind speeds, because that's a thing that's always been tricky with wind turbines. I've been a sailor all my life, so there's a lot of sailing technology in it. You know, we use the same principles of Bernoulli and Venturi that are used to make a boat go that make this wind turbine work. This is what you would call microwind, and typically microwind has had a really bad reputation because it takes a lot of wind to get the thing turning fast enough to actually create some energy. We have a different blade that works in low wind speeds, and we have a different type of generator that can actually make power in those low wind speeds too.
He says the real difference is in the blade they're using on the EnergiPlant.
Our blade, although it looks like a typical wind turbine that turns in a similar fashion, these blades are actually drag-oriented blades. So the big wind turbine blades are shaped like a airfoil or an airplane wing. So those are what they call lift blades. So they're lifted into the wind. They need a little bit more wind, have to turn a little bit faster RPMs, or need a big gearbox to make them efficient. Ours is drag, so it's sort of like having a cup in the wind and being pushed, so it's pushed along.
And to complement the energy from the wind, they've added solar panels on these leaves just below the blades to harness energy from the sun.
We have about an 800-watt wind turbine, and then right below it on the leaves, in this particular model, we have 400 watts of solar. Everything runs down the pole. All the power that's generated with this is just meant to keep the battery fully charged. So for a park setting like this, we provide USB charging, we provide security lighting, LEDs, and you can kind of do a lot of different things. You can add security cameras, you can have sensors that can tell air quality, it can measure weather, it can count people in the park, it can do a number of things.
As more communities, universities, and other entities get involved in renewable energy, expect to see more Primo wind installations across the country as people plug in to nature. I'm Mike Gilliam for Simply Science.
And now, bugs. Ari Goldberg meets with a forensic entomologist who says, "Say hello to my little friends."
One of the reasons why I got into this field is being able to kind of be the bug whisperer. There's not a lot of people that understand and can interpret what the insects tell you in an investigation because they do tell a story, and a lot of times they're overlooked. You know, people lie. The bugs don't really lie.
This bug whisperer is Jennifer Rosati, assistant professor at John Jay College and forensic entomologist. Entomology is the study of insects. Forensic entomology is studying insects for criminal investigation, and it's not a job for everybody.
Do I take the work home? Absolutely. There's been many times where I have taken the work home with me. I have traveled on the subway with maggots in my pockets. Yes, I have. And for the most part, working in the city is great because people mind their own business. They really do. I mean, they might go, oh, something smells over here, but then that's it. And trust me, there's been worse smells on the subway than anything that I bring into it.
When I hear forensics, and I think a lot of people hear forensics, they're thinking Law and Order and CSI. Is that what this is really about?
So forensic entomology is primarily used in homicide investigations, but that's not the only use for it. Insects can be very helpful when you're looking at the agricultural industry. There's a lot of insects that can infest those grains. So the source of that contamination and finding where that contamination occurred. And then with respect to urban entomology, a lot of times you're dealing with pest species. So you can deal with termites and their feeding activity that can potentially disrupt the structure of a house or of a building. All of that would fall underneath forensic entomology as well.
But the bread and butter is indeed homicide investigation. It may seem a little morbid, but you can figure out when a body died based on understanding the life cycle of the insects that have grown on it, specifically the life cycle of the blowfly.
Well, believe it or not, you encounter blowflies all the time. When you're walking your dog in the summer and it decides to take a you-know-what, chances are if you stay around in that area for a few minutes, you're gonna see blowflies. And they lay eggs on a dead, decomposing resource. They can lay eggs within minutes of death. And so by looking back at their developmental cycles and the temperature at which the crime occurred, you can work back to try and figure out when those eggs were laid. And in ideal situations, and in most situations, that time that egg was laid corresponds very tightly to the time of death. A lot of times we take a live sample and we bring it back to the lab and re-rear it. And what that means is that we want it to continue its development so that we have an adult emerge out so we can determine what species we're dealing with.
Unlike the investigations on TV, according to Rosati, it can take weeks or even months to identify an insect, rearing the eggs in the lab until they hatch and grow. And one thing they don't show you on TV is that in order to understand the bugs at a crime scene, it means always keeping a lot of bugs on hand to study in the lab. Like a lot of bugs. To be sure, day to day it is indeed more research than it is Law and Order. Rosati assists on about 2 to 3 cases per year at this point in her career, so it's not all morbid. And Rosati keeps it all in perspective.
The person at home that's watching and thinking, oh my God, I'd never be able to do this, and I would say this job isn't for everybody, but to me, insects are beautiful. You put them underneath a microscope, you see the shine to them, especially the blowflies, and also there's an important aspect to it. Somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to play with maggots, somebody's got to play with dead bodies and pick the bugs off the dead bodies, and that just so happens to be me. So it isn't for everybody, but I enjoy it.
DNA testing is a popular way to trace your ancestry and examine your genetics. I had mine tested. I'm 40% Eastern European, 3% Mediterranean, and 57% pastrami. TinaBeth Piña, she's 100% fabulous.
We and others have turned this into a very automated process where you can put in saliva and get out DNA.
Joe Pickrell is a geneticist and CEO at GenCove, a company that makes genomic data accessible and interpretable.
Most of the tests that you're familiar with and that we've used are based around a technology called genotyping. What our technology is based around is increasing that by orders of magnitude. Instead of looking at 100,000 sites, you would look at 10 million or 100 million sites. And in the long run, this is the type of data that will make these tests much more powerful.
The genetic genealogy market is currently dominated by Ancestry.com and 23andMe, which use genotyping to give consumers information based on their DNA. I ordered a test through Ancestry.com and was surprised that the test actually worked when I was matched to relatives I hadn't known taking the test. So how do these companies extract your DNA from the saliva you ship off to a lab?
So in your saliva are there cells. Most of them, it's kind of interesting, half of them, probably about half of the cells are white blood cells. There's sort of blood cells that you spit out. The other half is just sort of skin cells. And in each of those cells is your genome. And the genome is about the same in every cell in your body. It's 3.3 billion chemical bases all strung together. And in those 3.3 billion, there are many that are different among people. So you might have a particular genetic variant that I don't have. But the genetic variant that you have is definitely shared with one of your parents, and is definitely shared with one of your grandparents, and so on.
Surprisingly, the popularity behind DNA kits is nothing new.
It turns out genealogy has been a hobby for people for hundreds and hundreds of years. It was probably the biggest hobby in the 1800s among certain classes of people, and now we have sort of a modern day equivalent of that. A lot of them, it's more of a focus on either an ancestry, genealogy, pure genealogy product, which would be your MyHeritage or Ancestry DNA. There are tests like 23andMe that also have a more medical angle.
For example, my health results from 23andMe showed that I have a slight risk for macular degeneration, but no variant for late-onset Alzheimer's. Meanwhile, my DNA results were very similar to my Ancestry.com ones. Although it seems like fun to order a DNA test kit without a second thought, these kits can stir up issues about privacy as well as open up a Pandora's box of family secrets.
Anonymity is gone. That's the short answer. And there's no such thing as anonymous sperm donation anymore. There's basically no such thing as anonymous adoptees anymore.
And at the end of the day, who owns that DNA data?
I think all of the companies would say that you own it, and you've given them a lot of rights to it. My understanding is you can take those rights away if you choose to. You could take your data and delete your account and tell them to delete everything.
So whether you want to simply find out your ancestry or delve into your medical probabilities, think twice before you purchase a DNA test, because your privacy may be at risk while the industry will continue to boom. I'm TinaBeth Piña for Simply Science.
In 2006, New York City banned restaurants from cooking, frying, or baking with artificial trans fats. Oh, they were delicious, but they really increased the risk of heart disease. Some consumers were concerned their favorite foods would never taste the same.
Oh God, is that awful?
So it's the 13th anniversary of the trans fat ban.
Yes.
What's the report card?
Yes, grades are in. And there's an A+. Really, it's really great news.
Malina Malkali is a spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, eatright.org. And there was a recent study this year that talked about some dramatic drops in trans fat levels.
Yes, in the American Journal of Public Health. They looked at the blood levels of trans fatty acids in New Yorkers, and they dropped more than 50%. But what was interesting was that in New Yorkers that eat out more than 4 or more times a week, the blood levels of trans fatty acids dropped more than 60%.
Remind us why trans fats were so bad. What's the scientific reason? How are they made? Why are they so bad?
The problem is that it alters our cholesterol profiles. So it raises our blood levels of LDL, or bad cholesterol, and it lowers our levels of HDL, or good cholesterol.
I was surprised to read that artificial trans fat were made in a laboratory.
Yes, that's right.
How?
Well, through a process called hydrogenation, which is where hydrogens are added to vegetable oil, which turns the oil from a liquid to a solid at room temperature.
Made by a mad scientist. in a laboratory. It's a Frankenfat, ladies and gentlemen.
Decades of scientific research have taught us that any amount of trans fat in the diet, artificial trans fat, is detrimental to the body.
There are still some trans fats sneaking into our food we may not know about. Where would we find them?
Yes, and that's a really great question and important for consumers to know, because according to the current labeling laws, if a product has 0.5 gram of trans fat or less, it can say on the package that there are 0 grams of trans fat. If you look at the food label and look at the ingredients list and look for partially hydrogenated oils, or hydrogenated oils, which is another name for trans fats, you can determine whether the food has trans fats. Foods that tend to have a longer shelf life, such as frozen pizza, frozen pies, cakes, cookies, ready-to-eat frosting that comes in a can, coffee creamers, frozen pizza, that type of...
But that frosting is great when you run out of spackle. Just smear it on the wall, it'll last forever.
There you go.
Everyone's favorite dinosaur gets a complete makeover, and Andrew Falzon gets a first look.
When you think of a tyrannosaur, this is what you think of: a T-Rex, a mighty predator, 13 feet tall, weighing between 6 and 9 tons. But the new exhibit, T-Rex Ultimate Predator, at the American Museum of Natural History, brings to life some of the newest research on the T-Rex and introduces us to other members of the Tyrannosaur family.
We're trying to just tell that evolutionary story of how like a pretty much run-of-the-mill traditional dinosaur could evolve into like this mega predator.
Dr. Mark Norell is the curator of the museum's paleontology division and has helped excavate some of the specimens that are included in the exhibit, like this small species called Dilong. But the first T-Rex you meet in the exhibit is what scientists now believe a baby looked like, more feathery turkey than ferocious predator.
The teeth are tiny and that they're really pointy, and it probably had a very different diet than an adult T-Rex had, because it certainly couldn't crush bones, so it probably ate things like, small lizards, small mammals, frogs, that kind of thing.
But T-Rex didn't stay that small for long, as researchers now believed it gained an incredible 1,700 pounds per year until it reached its adult size. The average T-Rex had an eyeball the size of an orange and teeth the size of bananas.
T-Rex can bite with almost an 8,000-pound bite force, that most of the tooth is actually inside the jaw. So you need to have that kind of strong support if you're going to deliver that much force with a tooth. And in some of the cabinets right back here, we have teeth that have been taken out of the jaw, and you can see the tooth might be this long, but only this much of it is actually exposed in the mouth.
Other members of the Tyrannosaur family are sharing the spotlight with T-Rex. Some are on display as life-size model like this Proceratosaurus, others as life-size images. Dr. Gregory Erickson collaborated on the exhibit and says there are about 25 Tyrannosaur family members in total.
There's some aspects of tyrannosaurs that allow us to identify them. In particular, their teeth, their front teeth have a kind of a D shape to them in their cross-section. That's a dead giveaway that we're dealing with a tyrannosaur.
The exhibit also features a number of hands-on activities. You can touch a T-Rex leg bone, enjoy a virtual reality experience, and even come face-to-face with an animated monster. The museum and T-Rex have always had a special relationship. It was back in 1902 when the museum's renowned fossil hunter, Barnum Brown, discovered the first T-Rex remains in Montana. Since then, the reptilian carnivore has captured the hearts and horrors of people worldwide, playing a starring role in feature films like the Jurassic Park series. But a T-Rex feature you won't see even in the newest Jurassic World films is a T-Rex sporting a new hairdo, or in this case, a featherdo.
We speculate that if Tyrannosaurus rex as an adult had feathers, which we believe it did, it was purely for display. Probably on the head, probably on the tail.
Now, unlike my furry friend behind me who's long since extinct, the exhibit T-Rex the Ultimate Predator is going to have a very long lifespan here at the museum. It'll be open until August 9th, 2020. I'm Andrew Falzon for Simply Science on CUNY TV.
That's our show. If you'd like more information about anything you saw today, please visit us on the web at tv.cuny.edu or visit us on Facebook or just send help. I'm Barry Poppins. See you next time on Simply Science!